You're not going to be perfect and you're not going to get it right the first time. I can't emphasize that enough. Yes, I did had determination and I did had consistency. However, I could take you back in my life for 25 years and point out failure after failure after failure after failure after failure. Change starts in the mind, not in the mirror.
Hey, Shawn, welcome to our channel. Welcome to our little chat we got going on. So we started this carnivore chat thing, and it's meant to be like a podcast type of vibe where we just invite other people that are like-minded and we just want to talk about their journey and see where they came from. And
appreciate you guys having me on, man. It's been a couple of weeks since we got together, and I always look forward to seeing you guys.
We have a few questions for you, and so our first question for you is, how long have you been on carnivore, and then how much weight have you lost so far?
I started carnivore on April the 17th, 2022, and then transitioned over to June-ish the 1st to BBBE, and I've ate that ever since. So a little over a year. It's all real carnivore, so with a slight distinction just because it's that much, a little stricter, but it's all part of the same deal. I've been on the ketogenic spectrum. How about that? That sounds good.
Yeah.
Since April the 17th. And so a little over a year now.
And how much weight have you lost so far?
How much weight? So 245 pounds to date. I've lost the average. The app that keeps up with it says 4.18 or some another a week. There were times I would lose 20 to 25 pounds a month. And it varied throughout the whole time.
That's a lot, and that's good on you.
So what was your actual starting weight before you started this journey?
457 pounds is where I weighed in at. And I had to go to my doctor because there was, like I talked about, I don't know if I've even talked about this on my channel, honestly, maybe breezed over it, but I didn't have a scale in my house that would weigh something that big. I had to, I'm like, my wife has always had a scale, but I didn't need to step on the scale because I could see in the mirror that I wasn't at a weight that I wanted to know anything about,
Yeah.
So, I mean, and that's not something that was new. I was overweight for years. So before I started eating carnivore, I wanted my blood work to get done. So I did go do that. And they have those massive like metal frame things that you can step on and be weighed. But there's nothing in this house that would have weighed me at that point, I feel like. And I ended up having to order, a scale, like a heavier size scale.
Yeah.
Wow.
So 457 was where I ended up starting at.
And so where are you today again? 212.
Well, that's a huge feat in itself just to lose that much weight. And it's not a race, right? It's something that everyone's going to take different times to get to where they want to be. Yeah. Everyone loses weight at different paces, so but it's awesome that you lost that much weight in a year because that's I think probably more weight than anyone that we've met or talked to on carnivore has lost.
I have been involved, whether it's a moderator in the carnivore group that I'm part of or with the channel, talking with the thousands of people we get to meet. I've never met anybody to lose that much weight that quick. I'm sure it's out there.
Yeah.
Like you just said, like you nailed it, brother, because, and I heard somebody else say something similar to this quote, but like I kind of took it as my own and changed it a little bit.
Yeah. And
it says change starts in the mind, not in the mirror. And that I was like, that is one of the best things I've heard. Like, get out of the scale,
Oh yeah.
It's important, but it's not the main thing.
Correct.
Yeah, and that's been one of my biggest pain points is I sometimes get so wrapped up in the mindset and the number on the scale and then get demoralized or, I did great. Now I can go eat something I'm not supposed to. I just have to get out of my own mind. I feel like that's such a powerful quote because it is true.
Yeah, and I try to, we both try to focus on those non-scale victories, like buying smaller clothes, doing our measurements, taking before and after pictures and stuff like that. And that seems to help a lot. So, but it's just, it's tough when you see the number go up or it stays the same for like 2 weeks and nothing changes, and you're like, man.
Yeah. Well, because you're battling more than one addiction at the same time. You're battling, you want to see the scale and do that. So you're battling the emotion from that along with the addiction side to the food. Plus you're trying to start a good habit. I mean, there's so many things at play. And I mean, you're not going to be perfect and you're not going to get it right the first time. And I mean, there's I can't emphasize that enough. Yes, I did had determination, but and I did had consistency in this issue. It was amazing and it worked amazing. However, I could take you back in my life for 25 years and point out failure after failure after failure after failure after failure after failure after failure, and until you're sick of hearing about it. So fortunately for me, this opened a doorway for me to be able to help people through my experience, and it gave me a good experience too, so we can all be winners. But I can assure you there is a long line of failures lined up that led to a success,
Yeah, for sure. So the next question is, how'd you get to the point where you weighed over 400 pounds? Like, what's your story? Or like, what led up to that point?
But a whole lot of bad decisions led up to it. And I had let my health go for so long and just actually made horrible decisions. I tried every diet. No diet worked. I was sick of investing in, I took pills. I did everything you could imagine to try to lose weight.
Yeah.
But I worked EMS. That was another thing that led to it, because we were ran ragged and we were always in the streets. We never had time to eat, sit down and eat a meal. There was always another call to run. And so my stress level was always extremely high. Yeah. And I sacrificed taking care of myself for a long time during that time period. Nevertheless, I just made bad decisions, and I lost my job in 2019 as a medic because I just couldn't really perform the job, and my health was horrible, and I couldn't hardly show up even to work because high blood pressure, pre-diabetes turning into diabetes probably by that point. And finally was diagnosed with diabetes. I had just been put on blood pressure medication not too long before that, and I was getting adjusted. I mean, there was one thing after the other with bad decisions and bad health. And then, so once I lost my job, I laid on the couch here for about 3 years, not working, not having much to do with family, and just sunk deeper and darker into one of the darkest depressions that I've ever experienced in my life, until I just couldn't find any will to live. Honestly, that's about as clear as I know how to put it. Really, it's easy, I guess, to look back, and I've said this before, but I'll say it again. It's easy to look back on the situation and see all the places where I went wrong, but it wasn't so easy to see them whenever I was living it. And, I feel like the little bit of faith that I had left is one of the main things that got me through that time period, and trying to figure out how my family was going to live without me too. And one day I was just laying on the couch in that depression, not having any answers. I prayed about the issue, and next thing you know, I'm listening to a Joe Rogan podcast of all things, and I hear and I wrote it down because I always forget her last name, Rhonda Patrick. I always quote her first name because I remember Rhonda. I've actually emailed her to tell her thanks, but I heard Rhonda Patrick and Joe Rogan on there talking about carnivore, and I was like, this is crazy. These people are crazy. Joe talks to the crazy, like he talks to, what is the guy, the UFO guy from the
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
I do too.
Exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
I'm like, Joe goes off on some things sometimes, and like, this is another one. This guy's going off on this. It just kept coming back, and I looked it up one day and ran into a Ken Berry video and thought he was even more crazy. I'm like, these people have lost it, right? That's what led to it. A whole lot of prayer from a whole lot of people.
So you thought Ken Berry was crazy? That's kind of funny, actually. So you kind of alluded to a little bit, but what led you to that point where you're like, you know what, I need to make a change?
I needed to make a change. It wasn't like a thing that I realized that I needed to make a change. It was, I was either going to change or I was going to end my life. I was at that point. Like, it's either I'm done with this, and I guess it's kind of hard to say, because I guess if I could have figured out a story to explain and to myself even how my kids and my wife were going to deal with me not being here, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation.
Right.
It was bad for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, me and my wife actually even did the show, and she talked a little bit about, and that's hard to even hear, man, because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, number one, it wasn't that long ago. You know,
Mhm.
a lot of great things have happened in the last year,
Yeah.
but you're talking about the stuff we see on TV all the time, and all these action shows and all these drama stories and all this stuff is one thing, but to hear this and see this, and it, like, for me, even like hear myself talking about something that's that fresh, because I've come a long way. At the same time, I'm not going to try to sit here and say that there's not times where I still deal with stuff that's left over. You know,
Yeah.
Right.
it's night and day different, and so in some ways, a lot of the things have changed, um,
Mm-hmm.
the way that you have to do life, but I've become a real strong advocate for people who were in the shape that I was in. When
Mhm.
before, like, if you had talked to me 10 years ago, it would have been, you know, God, why? I mean, I get it. Depression, take a pill, snap out of it, whatever. I
Yeah.
didn't know better. But
Mhm.
it becomes a whole different outlook when you've experienced it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Whenever you've gone through that in your life, it opens your eyes up to a whole new view, and that's why
Mm-hmm.
I'm so passionate about it. So it was either end it or find something that worked, and it was the thing that I was going to try.
So how did you come to that place where you started finally pulling yourself out? Was that because of the podcast you had heard from Joe Rogan and you thought, I'm going to try this, or that's it?
Yeah, I mean, it was literally just once I heard it, I was like, well, I'm
Mhm.
willing to give it a try. Well, I heard Ken Berry talking about it. I
Yeah.
got led there, and it was
Yeah.
all right. I'm going to try this, and I was grasping for anything.
Is that the reason you chose carnivore diet over like keto or other diets, because it was more of an elimination and healing diet?
Yeah, I mean, he said every time Ken Berry recommends something for somebody who had the symptoms that I had, like type 2 diabetes, sugar issues, overweight. Every time somebody asked him, what should I do with these issues if, I can't find an answer, he's like, well, the first thing I would do is I would give 30 to 90 days or 60 to 90 days of beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, BBBE. And I'm like, I don't even like beef that much.
Really? You don't?
I used to never eat steak. Like
Okay.
I could not stand steak. Like I would not. If we went to a
Yeah.
steakhouse, if we went to Longhorn or Outback or someplace like that, I'm ordering a hamburger.
Yes. I found my person.
I want me some big old onions,
Uh-huh.
and I just want a hamburger, some French fries. Y'all can have all that steak. It ain't for me. I mean, that just gives you a contrast of, like, I've literally had eggs and steak for 9 or 10 months now every day. Like I haven't even
Yeah.
had a hamburger patty ground beef in 9 months.
Wow. You said you're BBE and you mostly eat eggs and steak. Well,
Mhm.
do you ever get tired of that? Like is the lack of variety bother you, or is
No,
that something that you're happy with?
dude, I'll tell you how happy I am with it. This month, Carnivore Quest is doing a challenge, the Lion Diet, for their challenge.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've been doing the non-scale victory, and Southern Ketovore has been doing the walking challenge.
Uh-huh.
So, obviously I failed the non-scale victory because I talk about it almost every day on the channel or in the live. So I was like, I failed that one already. And there's plenty of non-scale victories though, but I was going to do the lion
Uh-huh.
diet, and I did. I kept my butter. I said, I'll do the lion diet. I got to keep my butter and I got to keep my coffee. But
Yeah.
other than that, I'm good with it. And I did it for 11 days. Today I posted my picture where I was like, I'm not done with this. I want my eggs. There's something about those 3 eggs that was almost euphoric when I ate them today.
Aw.
So, I mean, like, I love my steak, but apparently going to the Lion Diet, eating steak and butter wasn't enough. For some reason, I wanted my eggs, and it made things
Yeah.
better. So, but I crave it now. That's all I want: steak, beef. Not so much the bacon. I know that's blasphemy, but
I know Caitlyn struggles with variety.
Yeah, I do.
Because she doesn't like seafood.
mhm,
I enjoy pork, chicken, seafood. I love meat in general, right?
mhm.
So it's easier for me, but she struggles. So we're just,
Mm-hmm.
she's trying to figure out ways to stick to it.
Or maybe I just need to be fine with eating the same thing all the time. So when you were trying to, you started, I think you said back in April of 2022, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you started back then, what did your meals kind of look like? Were you just eating steak and eggs? Did you fast at all?
Whenever I first started, I would eat anything that was meat. For the first
Okay.
2 months, it was carnivore
Uh-huh.
because is what I started on. Because like I used to drink before that, it was 2 liter Dr Peppers and foot long Jersey Mike subs. I
Uh-huh.
mean like, and so I just ate whatever, and I ate a lot. I would eat at least 3, maybe 4 times a day. So going on carnivore, I was really realistic about the whole, like, can I actually stick to this meat only thing? Because I like meat, I love meat, whatever. Not so much the steaks at that point.
Uh-huh.
So,
Yeah.
but if I'm going to try this, I'm going to do this. So I would eat chicken, I would eat beef, I would eat a lot of hamburgers. I made an art out of it. I got one of the charcoal Weber grills and would sit out
Uh-huh.
there on the swing and grill at 3 or 4 times a week with my charcoal, and I'd get the
Hey.
flavored wood and all that kind of
Uh-huh.
stuff,
Yeah.
and just did some different things. And really, I say I just ticked my neighbors off because I grilled like 4 times a week at least. But it was anything carnivore before I ever went beef, butter, bacon, and eggs.
Okay.
And so then you did that for about 3 months before you went to beef, butter, bacon, eggs. Is that right?
From April the 17th, and then I started beef, butter, bacon, eggs June 1st.
Okay.
So
it was a challenge. There you get another reason why it's important to be involved in community every chance you get, because the beef, butter, bacon, and eggs challenge was a June challenge from Carnivore Quest community that they issued, and I was like, let's try it. I don't know if I can do it. It sounds horrible to me, but let's go for it. Here I am a year late. I guess the crazy ideas are the one that work, I guess.
I think I have never done the BBBE challenge yet. And so I bet there's people who are going to watch this who haven't done that either. And when I hear that, I kind of think, how is that even sustainable? And here you have done that for 9 months. So
a year.
A year now on that.
June,
so how have you found that sustainable?
There's something in that beef. Like I'm telling you right now, because I have tried to go. I have eaten off the BBBE thing in the last year. Last month maybe. There was 2 nights where I went and had chicken. We were short on cash, couldn't go get my steaks that I normally get because I hadn't been working. But so I ate chicken 2 nights in a row, and by that second night, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna have to rob a bank or sell one of the kids. I don't know what I got to do, but I got to have some steak.
I'm right there with you, brother. Because like, if it's like, for me, I'm not a huge fan of ground beef because it just the grease doesn't get my stomach does not agree with it sometimes. So if I'll eat chicken, pork here and there, ground beef, but I always go back to that steak, and that steak is just there's something about it. There's something about it,
There's something about a ribeye, and don't get me wrong. Like I'm with you. Like I'm not telling people this is the only way to do it. I feel like it's the proper human diet, and it's a spectrum, and you can find health on your body, but you got to figure that out. But for me, my body loves steak, eggs, and butter. Like that's where my happy spot is, because I've tried Lion Diet twice now. One time was for 3 weeks, and one time I just ended was 11 days. And every time I do, I get aggravated. I get my energy. I could tell my energy starts getting less, and I don't know if it's because I'm changing what I'm doing or the amounts of what I'm doing. I don't know what it is. However, it's not for me. So, and I tried the 1 meal a day thing, and it's also not for me. I can't eat enough in 1 meal, and it makes me angry. And I don't like being angry. I like being
hangry.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hear you on that, because I know I cannot do 1 meal a day. We're both 2 meals a day, and it just doesn't work. But so the next one for you is how has this health journey changed you both mentally and physically?
Oh man, the 245 pounds. I had to get rid of every single thing that I wore. I was in like 6X shirts and size between 65s and 70 in the pants.
Wow.
Yeah, it's insane, right? Like, so, and like, so my buddy Steve that's in the group, he actually started his channel, the Carnivore Pastor, recently.
Oh,
I think he just got his first video up today.
yeah.
He brought me some of his clothes that he shrunk out of, and their size 34. So I went from like almost size 70 to a size 34.
That's crazy.
I have nothing else really to wear. I'm glad he did that, and I'm very appreciative. But that's one thing, and that is amazing. And that, like I said before, opens a lot of doors. The biggest thing I guess that I have seen that has improved is the mental health, like 100%. Because, dude, I mean, 100% full disclosure. Like, if the mental health had improved to where I wasn't living in torment all the time, and I was still over 300 pounds or 350 pounds, like, I can focus and know and be happy because peace is where it's at.
Yeah.
And we both know, we have Christ, who is the peace that passed all understanding.
Yes.
And I had him, and that's that is what sustained me, and to make it through that time period from the get-go.
Yeah.
However, like, I was almost like I was bucking it the whole. I don't know if I was bucking it his instructions the whole time. I don't know. I can't explain. But the depression and the attacks that I was under, laying on this couch for those years, to get that done, to get that gone, is worth. I would trade everything else that I've experienced so far for that, because the mind, I'm telling you, it was dark, and I can't keep living like that.
When you were in that deep depression and feeling like, you were only laying on the couch for the majority of the day, and you heard this podcast from Joe Rogan and you decided to start trying this carnivore diet, how long did it take for you changing your diet and for you to start kind of seeing that darkness start to lift and you seeing the results in your mental health?
I would say, I don't know. I mean, that's a really good question. I mean, it would have had to have been before I did the walking video. So, I mean, it was somewhere within the first 2 to 3 months there.
Wow.
I mean, I don't think it wasn't instantaneous. It wasn't like, all right, today I'm depressed and tomorrow oh man, I had a steak. Everything's great.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, and I don't want to, even make it seem like that was how it was. It was more like I'm going to do this, and I'm doing it even though I don't feel like it, kind of thing. And then one day I'm in the carnivore group, and I'm like, look, man, I'm just going to start encouraging these people, whether they deserve it or not, whether they ask for it or not, because I want everybody to just be encouraged and lifted up. And you know what? Maybe they'll get that encouragement, and that might be the thing that gets them going and pushes them forward.
Yeah.
And that was kind of and I'm like, hold up, time out. I'm spending all this time, and I wasn't working yet, even at that time. I would spend all that time doing that stuff. And that's about the time whenever I started to realize, not only am I not focused on how horrible I am and how worthless I am and how I can't be a dad and I can't be a father and can't do the things that I need to do, but I'm in here encouraging. I've already turned my focus back to helping somebody else. Most people that are depressed and down and whatever, a lot of times just can't see past where they're at. And that was the first indicator that showed me that, this thing's I'm coming out of this. So I 100% got to give the glory to God for that, because I 100% know that if he hadn't brought me out of it, like, I would still be there. That was the prayer that I prayed. There's situations in life that require strength and courage and power that we don't possess.
Yeah.
We don't have the ability to do it. And we have to, and that was one of those things. I was 3 years in. If I could have got myself out, I wouldn't have ended up there to begin with. So I just prayed that God get me out, and he did it in a way that only he can get credit for.
It has to have been God who knew that you needed to be listening to that podcast, and that was going to be the thing to pull you out, and that you were going to be able to be such a light to this community and to be able to encourage so many people. And your channel, I mean, I think the last time I looked, you're around like 6.5 subscribers, 1,000.
6,000, yeah.
Yeah.
Something like
I mean,
that.
look at all those lives that you are being able to impact and to encourage because of the blessing that God has poured out on your life. And so just know that we're praying for you, and that this platform that God has given you, you are stewarding it so well. And so you're just a great encouragement, and I just hope you know that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that a lot. That really does mean so much to me, because that's one of the biggest struggles that I have faced in doing this channel and doing the work that I've been doing, is that, obviously I want to focus on the diet. It's about the carnivore diet, and I don't want to, I wanted to keep a focus on that, but I have taught and struggled and been back and forth with, well, how far do I take the message? Because it is so intertwined, it's so interlinked. And I'll be honest with you, my personal opinion is, like, I know for a fact that if I did not have Jesus, if I did not have my relationship with God specifically, the nutrition and everything else really at the end of the day does not matter. Yeah. And so not only has my faith been fundamental, but there's so many ways that my faith is incorporated into and written all over this channel, that even if I don't talk about it and somebody actually starts looking at the messages that I put out, and they look at the name, you might think Intentional Carnivore is, oh, that's a cool name. Let's be intentional about doing our carnivore diet. We have to be intentional. Intentional has nothing to do with carnivore. That's not where it came from. It is a great idea, which is why I thought it was cool. But intentional, the name Intentional came from, I was doing a study and listening to a pastor online in a sermon, and he was talking about Jesus and everything that he did. And he pointed out that, even when Jesus got away from an issue, he was intentional about everything. And and it was like intentional, and it kept coming up. And I was like, intentional. I was like, well, if Jesus was intentional about everything that he did, and we as believers who believe in Christ have him in us, and according to the Bible, it says that he lives in and through us, then people are going to see that represented in our life, and we have to live intentional too. So I'm going to be the intentional carnivore. And it's a long story to come back around to. That's where the name came from.
And so I can just see how God has just been working through your story, not even, how he pulled you out of the deep depression that you were in, but then coming full circle then too, even in your very name of your channel.
What is your top tips/advice for people who have 100 pounds or more to lose?
100 pounds or more to lose. Number one, just try to focus on, have a plan, have your whys. I think that's probably one of the common things. Number one, you got to want to change. I've seen so much in our community, and not just our community, but in just dealing with people and EMS and everywhere. There's a lot of people who are sick, and a lot of people who are, investigating and looking at this stuff, that they want to be healthy and they want to lose weight and they want these things, but they're not willing to change. And it sounds crazy, but they start out and they've already predetermined in their mind that this will not work for them. And they've got a list of reasons why it won't work. So my best advice, one, is be willing to do, going into this, whatever it is that it takes to see the goals met and what you want to return. It may not be what you want to do, and it may not be what you like to do, but be willing to do whatever works, because what works may not be what you want or desire. Have your whys. That's going to something other than just weight loss. Everybody wants weight loss. I've lost 245. I wish I could have lost 270. Okay. I'll be right there where my BMI wants me, whatever, So weight loss, everybody wants that, except for a handful of people I've met who want to gain weight. So have your whys, have your plan. And, if you fail, keep going. That's the three things that I feel like it's important. And work on your mind. Don't focus on the things you can't change. Focus on the things you can change and affect, which obviously what you can affect is focusing, staying on the process, taking steps, putting them in place that that's going to make it harder for you to eat off plan. Don't have cookies and potato chips sitting on the counter as you walk by, or for that matter, if you're doing BBBE or the carnivore, don't have, for me, don't have tomatoes and onions sitting on it, because I can go over there and chop some tomatoes and onions up and eat them. I grew up on that stuff.
Yeah.
My grandma would eat an onion like an apple. She would. I love onions, but I couldn't eat it like that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
But that's how I grew up. So just take steps like that. That's not going to have whatever it is that might tempt you. It's going to help you out along the way. So that's really about the best I got on that.
So I like what you said about don't do what you want to do what works, because it may not be what you want to do, but it's going to work.
Dude,
and I know I struggle with that. We all struggle with that.
Man, it's human desire. You know how many times, like, golly bum, doing what I want to do, man, if I had to just listen to the people that were wiser than me, how much heartache and stuff I would have avoided.
Yeah.
But I had to do what I wanted to do, or do what I thought was best, not what worked. That's a hard lesson learned right there, my friend.
Yeah,
I know. I think I'm still learning that lesson right now.
Hey, I probably am too. I'm just sharing it. I'm not saying I perfected it.
Well, those are all the questions we had written down for you. I mean, you have such a great story, and I hope we captured a little bit of it. I know you've talked a lot about it on your channel and some other channels, but is there anything else that you would like to share about your carnivore journey?
Oh man, that's good. I like to overemphasize the fact that, or would like to overemphasize the fact that I'm happy for you guys. You guys are pushing forward. You guys got a lot going on, and I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you having me on. I appreciate the community. I'm extremely thankful, and I'm, because I haven't seen a lot of hate, just a little bit, but I think the more we work with each other, the more we encourage each other, the more we come alongside each other, no matter, what we claim, whether it be the keto, the carnivore, all in this space. I feel like we can just help each other out, and the community's so great, and the influencers are so great, man. I'm thriving and feeling thankful,
We're right there with you. We feel the love. It's a fantastic community to be part of, and everybody's so helpful and encouraging and inspiring, and we love each other. We're all just kind of a big family. It's pretty awesome.